Stacy. Welcome to the kitchen of my old Kentucky home. Today on Bourbon and Biscuits, Jessica and I have a couple of recipes where we're going to take advantage of tomato and fresh basil season. Let's get started. We're going to make a tomato pie. Here's what we'll need. 3 medium-sized tomatoes, a medium-sized onion diced, 1 cup of mayonnaise, 1½ cups of shredded cheddar, a ½ teaspoon of garlic, some pepper, salt, and 1 tablespoon of fresh basil. All right, so let's make our tomato pie. The first thing we're gonna do, well, I actually have done a couple of things already. I have sliced and salted some tomatoes, lined them on a paper toweled baking sheet, let them sit for about 30 minutes till they start to leak out their moisture, rinsed them, and then patted them dry again. Also sauteed our onions and pre-baked just your basic pie crust for about 10 minutes. So one thing we think we left off the ingredient list, by the way. So the next thing we're gonna do is just simply mix some of these wet ingredients. We've got a cup of mayo, got a cup and a half of shredded cheese, and you can use anything. This is a combination of cheddar, Monterey Jack, and mozzarella. Then I'm going to add my fresh basil. You can also use dried herbs as well, really anything you want. But like I said at the beginning, we're taking advantage of growing basil and tomatoes in our gardens. This is just a little fresh cracked black pepper. You can just use that to taste. And we're going to add a little salt. And then finally, I've got some garlic powder. We've got a ½ teaspoon of that. You can also use fresh garlic. I just had this and it was a little easier. All right, we're just gonna mix this up. Like I said, this is just something fun to do if you are maybe over the BLT, although boy, you'll miss it when you don't have it in the winter, right? But I grew up eating this on occasion and tried one for the family this week and they absolutely loved it. So doing one for you. All right, so we've got our wet ingredients. Like I said, you can make your own pie crust, but we cheated. Starting with a little pre-baked pie crust at 350. And I'm gonna kind of give one more pass over these tomatoes, just try to get a little more of that juice out. Otherwise, you'll end up with a really soggy bottom and a kind of a watery tomato pie. So, and you can see I've got an heirloom tomato, a beefsteak, and a yellow. Use any combination of tomatoes, and we're just gonna line the bottom, kind of alternate. Then we're gonna add a layer of onion. This is optional. I've got one family member that doesn't love onions, but even he liked this last night. Then another round of tomatoes. And then finally our topping, which again is basically mayonnaise, cheese, and some herbs. And then once I get this smoothed out, I'm gonna pop it into a 350-degree oven. Gonna bake it for about 20 minutes and check it. I'm gonna be especially checking the crust on the outside. I don't want it to get burned, I want it to get golden brown. So if it's looking close, I might add those little foils around the side to protect that while it bakes up to a golden brown. So while I do that, we're gonna go to Jessica now, who's got some fresh basil that she's going to be making our bourbon cocktail with today.
All right, today we're gonna do a seasonal twist on a Gold Rush cocktail with fresh basil. So I've made a honey simple syrup infused with basil. This is equal parts honey and water, and then I just put the basil in while it was still warm. And then I've got some fresh squeezed lemon juice and bourbon, of course. So I've already got ice in my cocktail shaker, and to that I'm gonna add 2 ounces of bourbon. I'm gonna do 3/4 of an ounce of this basil honey simple syrup. And also 3/4 of an ounce of fresh squeezed lemon juice. We're gonna give this a shake. All right, and then I'm just gonna strain this into a rocks glass. I'm gonna use a couple of these large ice cubes so that it doesn't get watered down too quickly since it's summertime and hot out. All right, and then I'm just going to go ahead and garnish this with a little bit more of our garden fresh basil here and a lemon twist. All right, just to kind of express those oils on there. And there you have it. It is our basil gold rush.
So this is a gold rush.
Yes.
With basil.
Yes.
So similar to like what we enjoy at Proof.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
Without the basil in it? Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of a classic cocktail. Okay. Honey, basil, it's kind of like a little garden party.
I like this garden party.
Pretty good, right?
Yeah, no, really refreshing.
You can't go wrong with this flavor.
No, really, totally summery.
And basil and tomato go so well together classically and grow at the same time here in Kentucky. Right. So everything, abundance of all of this, so it made sense.
Great pairing with the tomato pie, which was, you know how we usually do a little bit of like the history of something. We had a lot of fun researching this one. This is something that we'd had, you know, growing up, right? But couldn't really find a lot of the origin story except I found this in some cookbooks that I have from the 1900s. I found a version though with green tomatoes.
Yes.
And sugar and cinnamon and...
Okay, according to the internet and some YouTube videos, it tastes a lot like apple pie. So I guess if you're hard pressed to find apples, but you can find green tomatoes.
Yes.
You
can
find
one
it.
with ice cream on
yes.
it. Yeah. No.
It doesn't sound good to me either.
It does, we were talking though, it does really belie the fact how you grew up in Kentucky, right? Or anywhere in the United States, anywhere actually. You lived off the land.
Right.
You had to cook seasonally. So if you didn't have apples for your apple pie, you had green tomatoes.
And regionally.
Right. Yeah. Which even though now we can get everything at the Super Walmart and overnighted by Amazon, I still think living off the land and eating seasonally is the way to go.
Absolutely. And I mean, a tomato in the summer is a whole different thing.
Better. Yeah. Which I've joked about making the tomato pie. I don't know when you get tired of eating fresh sliced tomatoes and BLTs, but I guess if you are growing them and have an abundance like you all do, there does come a point.
So at kind of the end of tomato season, you've had so many BLTs and salsa and gazpacho and all those things that you just want a little more variety. So yeah, absolutely.
Well, cheers to eating seasonally.
Yeah, cheers to that. We'll see you next time on Bourbon
and Biscuits.